Hi guys, Glitch here, back with another video, and today we'll just be going over a different type of video. We'll be doing how, my Hashira ranking. We'll be ranking the Hashira from weakest to strongest, and I'll just be giving my opinion along the way of why they should be in their placement. If you like these type of videos, please remember to like and subscribe, and have a nice day. To first establish what I mean by the strongest, I need to just go over it really quickly. For strongest, I mean whoever is the highest in both AP and speed. And we also need to factor in their abilities and how their abilities would help them counter certain members of the Hashira. We will not be using outside sources such as the running list that's made and also the arm wrestling contest, because I don't necessarily think those are key factors as in the strength of Hashira. So yeah, let's just get into it. So yeah. Starting off at last, we have Tengen Uzui. Though he has impressive showings in the very early arcs of Demon Slayer, and he's shown to be at least relative to people like Gyutaro, and also be able to survive his high level of poison, I don't think that necessarily puts him that high in terms of strength. Like, we know that Gyutaro is literally the weakest of the upper moons at the time. Him and Darky are just shown to be a combined weak force. Many people like to argue that he would be higher if not for Darky, but we know that Darky can literally hang back in her fights while Gyutaro is the one doing all the fighting. So yeah, it just should be consistent that whenever Darky can accomplish something, Gyutaro literally has to carry him or carry her, I mean. But that isn't enough to rank him higher. He's just shown to be at least on par with him. People argue that he's weakened against Gyutaro, therefore it wouldn't scale. But the whole reason he got weakened, quote unquote, in the first place is because he was unable to get to dodge Gyutaro's attack completely, which would again mean that Gyutaro is still able to tag him. So yeah, they are just shown to be relative. So now we can move on to the second character. Starting off next, we have, surprisingly, the missed Hashira Muichiro. Now, many people like to say, oh, but Muichiro fought against Open Moon 5. Oh, but Muichiro is relative to Kokushibo. No, I'll just be addressing that in a kind of short, concise way here. Against Open Moon 5, he's shown to at least be able to dodge and react to Muichiro on multiple occasions before and after the mark. We see that he isn't quite impressive while he's on base, and he just gets thrown around by every single person he fights. But with the mark, that's where people see that he has notable feats. Whenever he's using his special ability, right? I think it's called Haze. He is above Upper Moon 5 in terms of speed. However, we do know that he doesn't use that ability straight off the bat, and I don't think he'd be that far above to the level where characters wouldn't be able to tag him, right? I think he should be at least comfortably on the level of Upper Moon 5 and still just massively below people like Hantengu, people like Akaza, all of those people. So yeah, we can move on with the next person. But I still can't believe that people actually think that Muichiro scales that high. All of his feats against Kokushibo are literally outliers, right? Or Kokushibo is literally off guard. We see that Kokushibo is able to cut off his arms on multiple occasions, and it's just demonstrated that he's trying to convince Muichiro to be a demon, right? And not waste his lineage because they are distantly related. So yeah, now we can move on. So coming in next, we have the Flame Hashira Rengoku. He has one of the saddest deaths in all of anime, and whenever he dies or whenever I watch him fight, it always brings a tear to my eye. But that's not true. But people seem to overrate his strength because of his his showings against Akaza. Yes, they are indeed relative, but Akaza has this narrative of just constantly trying to get stronger and trying to surpass people like Doma and Kokushibo. So it makes no sense for him to stagnate, especially when he's constantly eating people, which should make him stronger, right? Eating people is just shown to be a very consistent way to make people demons stronger. So he should just be consistent that he's above, that he's stronger whenever he fights people like Gyu and that. But Rengoku is able to put up a decent enough fight. There's nothing really much to say about this since they are the definition of relative. The only reason that Rengoku lost that fight is because of his stamina issues and Akaza's regen and his ability to just he isn't able to take out Akaza. But yeah, I don't think there's much more to say, so we can move on. This should be a surprising placement, but I'm gonna have Mitsuri here. The reason is that Mitsuri is just shown to like be kind of like a slippery fighter, right? We see that she has like her whip sword, which would be hard for people like Rengoku to deal with, as well as the fact that she has like more concrete scaling to people like Upper Moon 4, being able to dodge him on several occasions and even tank his attacks due to her like dense muscle form, right? I don't think that I don't think that Rengoku has the AP to just be able to take her out at the very start of their fight, and it just should be consistent. Her techniques are like faster than her own body, right? So she should just be able to like, for example, take his head off before like he's able to do anything. So yeah, Mitsuri just has earned her spot here, and the next placement is going to be really surprising because many people like to downplay her. You should have already expected this by now, but yeah, we're gonna have Shinobu here. The reason is that Shinobu has massive piercing strength. Many people like to argue that she just loses to any of the other Hashira because she can't cut off their heads. However, we know that there are also multiple other ways to kill someone without chopping off their heads, right? For example, we have instances like she runs through Doma's head with a literal sword, right? If she does that to anyone else, they are going to die, right? And she also has the AP to be able to like, or the speed to be able to like do that to someone like Doma. Doma, who's the second highest demon in terms of ranking in the upper moons, right? So it's just consistent that she should scale to him. The only time she gets hit by Doma is while she's in mid-air, which shouldn't really scale to her while she's on the ground because she's off balance, and the fact that she literally can't maneuver as well as she would be able to mid-air than she would be on the ground. So she just make loads of sense that she should be at least on this level or even higher depending on how you think Sanemi would fare against or the other people would fare against like Doma in terms of stats. With his fiery personality and his like foul mouthedness, we have Sonami next. Sonami's been shown to at least be relative or slightly below base Kokushibo. We see they're able to swap hands multiple times, being able to clash with each other, and Sonami even to getting an advantage due to his special blood and his ability to just be like crafty with the way he fights. For example, he uses his feet to even attack you with a sword, right? And then that same Kokushibo is just stated to be the strongest demon. We know that Muzan hasn't fully come out of his cocoon, so I think it should only be referring to the upper moons, right? So it should just be consistent that Sanami is at least on this level. People would like to say that he loses to Akaza because of Compass. However, right, I don't Akaza's Compass doesn't really activate instantaneously, right? We know this by whenever Gyu activates his mark, Gyu is able to get some good hits and before Akaza is able to match him with his Compass, which would mean that like it takes a while for it to activate. So if you are significantly above him, you literally just cut his head off before he does anything. So yeah, Sanami is this high. The next person on this list, though he has been portrayed as the strongest, the feats do not lie. The next person is Guillaume. Guillaume has been shown to be at least low end relative to a longsword Kokushibo, being able to deflect his attacks while in his marked form and save Sanami. It's even stated by Sanami that he would have died if not for if not for like Guillaume diverting Kokushibo's attacks. So it's just showing that like he should at least be this strong. It's also just narratively implied that he's like just above all of the other Hashira I've listed, by Shinobu even stating that everyone rests easy whenever Guillaume appears, which would imply that she's on like some tasks she's unable to do by herself. She rests easy knowing that Guillaume is there, right? So yeah, it should just be consistent that Guillaume is like above those type of people, right? But however, these statements they just no longer apply against people who have significantly higher feats than him, where there would be a contradiction. So yeah, we could just go into the remaining two people who many people would like to argue against. The runner up and the second strongest man in the corpse is Iguro Obanai. We see that Iguro should be at least on par with Muzan in his white head form, though Muzan should be weaker here. This same Muzan is able to push back people like Gyome, showing the upper limits of his strength and where he can't really shine. It's like Gyome is unable to get out attacks by himself, whereas people like Iguro are able to. Iguro is literally able to like blitz Muzan on multiple occasions and hit him, even when Muzan is like throwing out his arms in multiple directions. This would mean that Iguro has to be at least able to evade his arms, and if he even evades his attacks, just to be able to get in close to attack Muzan, right? So it just makes more sense that Iguro should be at least on this level since he's kind of the MVP in the fight. Due to his like complete lack of self-worth, he just tends to downplay himself. However, he also has his ego moments wherever he like states that how could you lose to a mere upper moon 6, right? Which would just imply that someone with upper moon caliber, even if they are upper moon 6, they just should be weak compared to him. I'm pretty sure Valor even made a point like at this in his own video. So yeah, it should just be like consistent that he is this strong. And then the final person. He's been shown from the very early points in the series. He's depressed, all of that stuff. His name is Gyu. Gyu, the reason I'm putting him here is not because of what many people think. People like to think I'm going to use his feats against DKT. I don't think DKT is that strong, so I'm going to tell you my reasoning now. The reason I think this is because Gyu is able to keep up with two-armed Muzan in the Infinity Castle. This two-armed Muzan, as we know, Muzan is getting weaker over time, and this Gyu is shown to be able to keep up with this Muzan and block his attacks using his like dead calm and also his normal attacks, right? So it just should be consistent that he's on this level in speed, right? Though he gets blitz later, we have to take into account that Muzan literally it can't run out of stamina, whereas Gyu can. So it should just make sense that like Gyu is weakened here because of that, right? So I think Gyu should just rightfully have this ball due to like scaling to someone who is like above Kokushibo, and Kokushibo obviously should be above the rest of the Hashira in terms of 1v1s. So apart from Igor, of course. So like I think that is where the Hashira should concretely scale. If you have a disagreement, I'll link you my Discord in the description. I've made it specifically for fans and people like I consider friends, so you should check that out too. We have like I'm gonna start getting loads of debates in there, but I mean you didn't really come for that though. So yeah, if you like this type of videos, please remember to like and subscribe. This has been Glitch, and I hope you have a very nice day.